urgent. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if there's any information you need or, if you can take the time to watch that.
Yeah.
And it's all, if you go to my, that article about commissioners, where you're totally famous, it's got timestamps for every piece of testimony. And so you can just, you can fast forward to it. I don't know if it's descriptive or not, but it's got timestamps, so you just, you can look at Dr. Tribble's, and then you can look at,
I haven't either.
the establishment guide, and then you can listen to Dr. Thorpe. And Dr. Cole's testimony was really good too, but I thought Dr. Thorpe and Tribble just really blew it out of the park. It was really good. And I didn't even know really how the vote went, because I didn't know who was who. And then it wasn't until the end, and they had an overflow room.
Oh, Janelle
Just
probably told me
exploded
about this.
with applause, and people were so excited.
Don't let me forget.
And it's gotten international, as well as national coverage. And all positive, really. Right,
Wonderful. Okay.
yeah.
I-
So now, Edge can be a leader. We can pull the fluoride too. Oh, man, that stuff's bad.
That was perfect timing.
Robert Kennedy Jr. will do that. Eric, how are you?
I see how it happened.
No, sir, and George is about 20 minutes late. He said.
Milk.
Well, if you just, it's really badly
We
break.
have to sign up, please.
Thank you for your message. That was really nice.
We're just taking a shower.
Well, let you know anytime.
Hey, how's it going? Good. How are we feeling about our life choices?
Questioning.
Okay, all right.
Definitely questioning.
Students coming.
I know, but it was.
My daughter was gonna be on this course, so I guess I'll
So this is going to be water as well. So she comes to you.
Yeah.
It's like.
That's a good idea.
We learned that the thing was built in 1905.
Trenches.
And you know how what.
I'll call her out there.
Yeah, it was true.
Did you find her?
We can use my phone to figure it out.
What did you do?
UFC Elliott.
Oh, that was all you guys were at the wrestling. There was the walking movement there, the wrestling.
Oh, yeah. No, I broke the rollerblading. Not too good at it.
So the two of you could be like one whole person together.
Yeah.
It works so.
So trustee Simpson said he was gonna be about 20 minutes late. So, just wanted to let everybody know though, that we have some seniors here for a government project tonight. So I thought, just in case, I better bring this in case they get rambunctious.
What is that?
That's my
Oh,
gavel.
yeah.
Is it a rubber mallet or a belly style gavel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point.
All right, I call this meeting to order at 6:03 PM on November 20th, 2024. It's a regular school board meeting for Garden Valley School District 71. Can I get a call to order? Or a roll call? I'm sorry.
Eric Williams. Clay Tucker.
Ken Dong. like I said, George will be here in about 20 minutes. Do you guys have any questions about the agenda?
Like, no. No.
Can I get a motion to adopt and approve the agenda?
I'll motion we approve and adopt the agenda as written. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve and adopt the agenda as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes. All right, let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lauren, do we have any community forum items?
We do, we have Ms. Mel Cook that would like to speak to the board.
Okay,
Okay, do I just go from here or just like from here? That's
Then hold
just-
on just a second.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Mel Cook and I'm here as a private citizen and do not represent any of the local churches. On 15 October, I went to the school to ask if they could distribute flyers for the annual Harvest Fest at Crouch Community Church to the elementary school kids. And I was told that because it had the word Jesus on it, they probably could not. When asked if this was a new policy, I was told that if they allowed one church, they would have to allow every church. I was told that if they have to allow every church. I asked if I could speak to someone and was given Ms. Hannah Spafford's email. Then I emailed her asking for a decision as soon as possible so I could distribute flyers on Wednesday or Thursday. And since I didn't receive a response from her, I decided I'd distribute the flyers at the ball field and at the gym on Friday. The Harvest Fest was on Sunday. On Saturday, I received an email from Mrs. Spafford, and that said that I could not do that, and I'll read that to you. During the ball games, I found out from the Seventh-day Adventist Church people that they could not distribute their flyer the week before for their Harvest Fest because it had the word church on it. So the response from Ms. Spafford was, regarding your request to distribute flyers, the school must adhere to certain guidelines to ensure that we remain neutral on religious matters. If we distribute materials from one religious group, we would need to offer the same opportunity to all organizations, religious or otherwise, which could become challenging for the school to manage fairly and consistently. Recently, I learned that the local fire department was allowed to distribute their flyers for their 5th October Bike-a-thon fundraiser. Okay, so even though I'm not a lawyer, I started an online search and found a similar case from 2017 in Nevada, where Calvary Chapel, Dayton Valley, wanted to distribute event flyers at the school, and the Lyon County School District did not allow it. The Calvary Chapel took it up to the lawyers of First Liberty, who referred to a ruling of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, in which Idaho is also located. The case in the ruling referred to is Hills versus Scottsdale Unified School District in 2003, where again the school district didn't allow flyer distribution with religious contents at the school. And I'll read the item for you. Okay, the First Amendment requires a school district to be neutral toward religion. The U.S. Supreme Court has made clear that a school district violates the law when it suppresses or excludes private speech, simply because the speech expresses a religious viewpoint. Further, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, in which Lyon County School District is located, and Idaho also, has also ruled that if a school district allows secular organizations to distribute information to its parents and students, it cannot refuse to distribute information about programs simply because they are offered from a religious perspective. and that is the case Hills versus Scottsdale Unified School District in 2003. The Supreme Court declined a ruling over distribution of religious flyers in schools. It says the ultimate victory was awarded to Joseph Hills as the Supreme Court recently, that is in 2003, declined ruling saying the Scottsdale Unified School District discriminated against Hills and violated his free speech rights by banning him from distributing flyers that was promoting Christian summer camps of his organization in 2002. Then there's also, you have all this in your paper, the Anti-Defamation League in 2012 explained under what circumstances third-party religious materials may be distributed. Courts have essentially adopted a rule of equal access for distribution of third-party materials or publications in public schools. Where a school has a policy or practice allowing a broad array of secular groups to have their materials distributed in schools, the school is required to allow distribution of materials from a religious perspective on the same subject matters and on the same terms and conditions. However, a school can issue reasonable and viewpoint neutral rules and restrictions on access to the school and materials to be distributed. The school has the right to discontinue such a policy or practice and thereby prohibit any on-campus distribution to students of third-party materials for religious, whether religious or secular. Under this rule of equal access, if a school, for instance, allows nonprofit community groups to have their materials distributed, it would be required to allow a similar religious group to have its materials distributed as well. And I'm not advocating that the distribution at the school of event flyers from nonprofit organizations should be stopped, just the practice of censoring and discriminating against certain organizations, and in this case, churches. I'm asking the board to reverse the decision and again allow distribution of event flyers at the school for all organizations, all nonprofit community organizations. And if you could keep me informed of your decision, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just real quick before we get into comments or anything like that, I just kind of wanted to explain to the students that are here for government why Ms. Korn stopped there in the middle. I probably should have read this for community comment. We usually don't have any comments, so I appreciate that. It says here, public comment will be taken from the public on matters scheduled on the agenda. In this case, we are talking about
Community forum.
here, 5700.
No, it was just public comment that had to do with distribution. So it wasn't
Oh, okay.
specifically on
I
the
guess you just sent
agenda.
us that policy number.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it was just public comment. Anyway, typically it's public comment for an item listed on our agenda here. It says the chairman may interrupt or terminate an individual statement when it's too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, repetitive, or irrelevant. A person wishing to speak on the agenda item should fill out a request to appear before the board, Form 5105F, and submit it to the board clerk before the meeting begins. These forms will be available at the sign-in desk and can be found on GVSD.net. So,
So as far as procedure, I had given that form to Mrs. Cook earlier this week, and so that she would have it easily available to her. And as far as on the agenda, that's how we have it right now. That is up to your discretion. It's not Idaho law. It's just specifically for how we're running our time during the meeting.
and so she was timing it. Typically, members have community members have 3 minutes to speak. But we have the option to listen into the whole thing. I thought it was important to listen to it. That's why I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. For me personally, I have a hard time making a decision without looking into it more, things like that. Do you guys have anything to add to it?
We can't make any decisions.
And it's not on here today anyway,
Yeah.
right?
I
Um,
also provided policy to you guys in your board packet that is directly related to this, and I linked it to Mrs. Cook's.
Okay, so I'd just like to review that and check it out. Because I'm not opposed to it at all.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that we understand the policy and we're fair. And certainly don't want to discriminate against one group. And in this case, it sounds like it's churches, you know, so I just want to understand it better. And then we can bring it up as an agenda item.
Yeah, and so that would be done through policy. We bring the policy back for review, and the changes could be made there. And then that also would take into account more input would be helpful in like how we distribute all of this material, because we do get things that then load up our, especially our elementary teachers' tasks, depending on how often or what day they're sending home their parent communicator folder, and how many flyers and things need to go in there, and just like, you know, how we can manage that.
Just consistent, whatever we do.
Yeah, manpower. Yeah.
Yes. And for the record, I was unaware that there were any other flyers being distributed. You mentioned from the fire department, I was unaware of that. Okay. So that's good information to know. I do wish we could have had a phone conversation and discussed this further in person.
Yeah, I know, it's just, you know, I was a little upset about it, and I know other people were upset about it. So, I agree, you guys need to make a decision on that, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay, Elizabeth, do you have a question? Is that why you raised your hand?
Yeah, I did have a question, not related to this, but if there is a time limit, for any speakers that should be informed prior to their starting to speak.
Yeah, like I said,
I think it's on the form, but yeah, we should do
It's not on
better, yeah.
here.
Yeah, and we should preface that before we, at the same time that I,
Yeah, that way they can hear how
yeah.
much they say.
And, I mean, we were in a quick conversation in the hallway, but I did say 3 minutes in the hallway, so, it was a little bit of that, but I agree, like, prior to would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And real quick, this is not on the agenda, I just wanted to thank the school for the Veterans Day assembly. I thought it was wonderful again, and, you know, I just always think it's good that they do it. I'm glad they honor the veterans, and I'm just happy you guys all do it, so, thank you.
okay. Let's move on to item 6, the consent agenda. Consent agenda is just items that typically don't need a lot of discussion. Just so you guys know, on this consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the last meeting and also the payment of bills and journal entries. Would you guys like to move any of these items to a discussion item? No. Okay. Want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, approval of the minutes from last meeting and payment of bills and journal entries.
That was second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda for the items listed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 7, looking forward to this one, student senior project presentation.
Hi, my name's Ryder, and I'm a senior here at the Garland High School, and I'm here to show you this is for my senior project, is to paint a mural for the school hallway, and I'm here to get your approval of each one. We're gonna make 5 different pieces, so for you guys to pick and see which one you guys will approve. So I'm gonna go through each one. Of course, I'd like to thank Sydney for helping me do this. Also, here I got my first one, because this was my very first one, because the original concept idea was to have our Wolverines versus the Horseshoe Mustangs, but I couldn't really do the Mustangs, so I decided to think of their idea. Now, so this part might be, disturbing to the little kids. So I decided to make feathers. So my first one. These 3 are together, by the way. So I made. So I had all these 3. Also these next 2 I would change. I managed to make a different model for the. Yeah, here. Thank you. I managed. I got So I managed to make, this is my second one I set, and also for each one, I had to put like, I had to somehow put the Wolverine in. So this one's the first model of the Wolverine that I made up.
Yeah.
Then the second, third one.
And then Ryder, if you'll show them around.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. Can I have the help again? Cheers. Oh, actually, wait, I said for this one. I said. Thank you. And then this is my third one, and once again, I made a model of the Wolverine. And then these next two are my favorite ones. Just one of these two I want to do for a neurologist. Once again, I need your approval. So here's the fourth one. I was able to make myself. And the final one. And if you have any questions, you ask them now.
I have a question, how big is this mural gonna be?
I mean, Sydney, how big is it going to be again?
About a 5x7. It's gonna be on a canvas.
Yeah, on campus, and we're just gonna put like, hang it on the wall. Yeah, any other questions?
Yes, my preference is the one that you like. I kind of like that fourth one there.
This one? I mean, I like both of these, because these are two of my problems.
I would like to get the other two board members in.
Would you take off the Ryder so we can?
You guys can. Really talented. And like everyone said, art's not really that easy, so it takes time to practice.
This one's my favorite. And I think they're all excellent.
I like that one also.
So yeah, once again, I'm just showing you them so you guys can discuss which one I can do. And I'm thinking I could start it or at the break. This break is next week. So yeah, so that's it. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ryder.
All right, next item is the superintendent report.
We have some slides to go along with the report. Don't mind.
Can you hit the lights, Marie?
Yes, that would be helpful. Thank you. Oh boy, it's dark now. Being this dark. Well, thank you all for coming. Every board meeting, I do a report. We like to use visuals just because it helps demonstrate some things. But I do have to warn you all, there are some boring slides in here with just a lot of words on them. So bear with me for those slides. We'll get through them. And like I said, there will be some good visuals afterward. First off, we're just going to talk a little bit about the activities since the last board meeting when we met. We've had a lot going on with fall and winter sports and festivities that go along with sports. The football season just wrapped up. More to come on that. Wrestling and basketball are now started. We've got some new pickleball nets. And of course, the baseball field that's been made possible by contributions from our community members. There's been some progress done on that. As well as a kitten found entangled in the baseball net that was later adopted by one of the staff members. First fostered by another staff member, then adopted by one. We've had some really fun and interesting field trips going on, including some for science, mushroom hunting, social studies, more on that later, media, and automotive classes. We have this really great opportunity with our new automotive program because our teacher, Mr. Ben Fackrell, has a shop down the road. It's 5 minutes by bus. So he was able to take the students there for a field trip, and there will be more to come. It's kind of neat because he has so many pieces of equipment in his shop that we just don't have the opportunity as a startup program to have quite yet here. Celebrations, there was a celebration student award luncheon last week. And of course, we've been celebrating our football players' accomplishments and Veterans Day. We had a community meeting at the Longman Elementary School and had some communications with parents of school-aged children up there. We're going to talk about Longman Elementary in a little bit too. Of course, as always, we've been connecting with our partners. Some of the highlights, CAP-Ed, they came out and visited on 10/21. We've also had various military personnel come in and visit. Here, as far as college and career counseling goes, it's been helpful to students for them to see that they have options. And we're definitely not pushing any one option on them over another, but it's good for them to know that there are various routes after high school is done as far as career goes. IDLA, the Idaho Digital Learning Academy. MACU, that is our local bank who we bank with. We had a visit from John Fish from MACU. West Valley Technical Services, we have had some tech issues this week and last week as well. And West Valley Technical Services, they've been really great in troubleshooting and helping us through that. The internet was up and running by the last half of today, and things were going well. The steering committee. This is a committee that's put together to help support our students who are in a little bit more need of support than other students. What we've accomplished, we had a community school ribbon cutting ceremony and an open house. It just so happened to fall on the same night as election night, so that I know that was tricky for some community members, but there was also an article published in the paper. We also, on that same night, had an elementary read night, so we doubled them up. Track roll, our automotive teacher, he's been working really hard with the community, and he's received a lot of donations, and the generosity has just been, it's been incredible. He got a Subaru, I believe it's a 2001 Subaru Outback, donated yesterday, and it was just out of the blue, and he's like, oh, I gotta go get the Subaru. Okay, it's incredible the things that he's been doing. So I definitely want to give him praise for that. Approved funds from Pay It Forward. So Pay It Forward has been very generous as well, and they've been approving funds for wrestling and basketball uniforms, as well as senior projects. And the senior projects specifically that they've approved, they've been for school-wide benefit. They're not for individual students so much as school-wide. We have we have 3 corrective action plans that the State Department of Ed put in place last year. And we have worked through one full corrective action plan. We're still working through the other 2. And since the last board meeting, we've completed 14 state and federal reports. Some of them were really meaty reports. I also wanted to mention the Clover devices. So we've got this exciting new opportunity through MACU, Mountain American Credit Union, our bank. I mentioned John Fish came and visited a little while ago. So we now have these little devices. And what these little devices do is they scan cards. So at games, we can take cards. This means for entry into the games and for concessions. That's a new fun thing for us. I don't believe our district has ever had that.
Not at concessions. We did the lunch for a little while,
Oh, okay.
but we couldn't keep it out of it. It was so expensive to have the feature.
That makes sense. Yeah. And the nice thing is they're being charged at minimal percentage versus elsewhere. I've seen it be higher than 4%, which is right. We also now have a digital time clock system for classified staff members. Previously, the classified staff members were filling out papers to clock in and clock out. Now there's a digital system for them to do that. On to the fun stuff, the community school ribbon cutting. So the building that it used to be the district office building is now the community school building. And we are one of many recipients in our state of a full school-wide community school grant. It's a really great opportunity. We've talked about it in depth at previous board meetings, so I won't go too far into it tonight. If you do have questions, feel free to stick around, and I'd love to chat more about it. But just wanted to mention how exciting it was to be there at the ribbon cutting and being made to hold the small pair of scissors begrudgingly. I thought our community schools coordinator should really be highlighted here, and that's of course Bundy. And like I said, simultaneously we had the elementary reunite. And here are some photos of elementary reunite. We had different stations set up all over the school. One of the very popular stations happened to be the Read to a Puppy station. And you can see down here, the puppies, cowboy corgis. We also had one of the local librarians come in. These just happened to be her cowboy corgi puppies. Had a lot of fun that night. District drama competition. As mentioned, our folks placed third place at district drama. And here's a photo of them. It was lovely. So state is up next for two of our individuals. Very exciting. Something fun that the seniors did, they painted the rock and wanted to honor one of our students who is undergoing treatment for cancer right now. And there's the L curve on the right. Couple photos or a few photos of the 7th grade social studies field trip. The elementary awards luncheon. They said students were honored for whatever special achievement they earned. And that's where you'll have Subway and the folks. Also, the Veterans Day celebration. You can see one of the signs that a student made over there on the right. And the program there in the middle. It was a really awesome turnout from community members. Football semifinals, Tough Assembly. Couple photos there. So once again, community members were invited alongside students and staff to cheer on our varsity football team before their long trip to Cary. Coaches highlighted the importance of community and family support when it comes to the success of the football team. And Mr. Cockrell did a great job of leading this and having a game of trivia about who knows the most about the football team. And also special thank you to Loveland and the drum corps, as well as Coach Kelly and the cheerleaders for bringing in that school spirit. It's been a great season. Some ISU field.
Third place, correct?
It's Thursday. Team looks super hard. How cool is it that they got to play on this field? Along those same lines, we are now getting football lights and they're almost all installed. It's kind of tricky right now with the snow, but there's been really good progress.
I think they're all up.
What's that?
All four
All
of
four of
them.
them are up now.
Yes, but I don't think electricity is running to all four quite yet. So almost there, so close. It's quite a process though, of setting them into concrete and it takes a while. I just want to give some accolades to the football coach and to the district. I also want to highlight Pay It Forward's generosity once again. So the senior project that I spoke about earlier was Rex Fackrell's senior project, and this is a little blurb from him. He said, "My goal is to be able to successfully purchase the scoreboard and be able to display it in front of the community for the season games. I would like to be able to sell all messages and ad space so that we get the most out of the score table. My end goal is to be able to give the responsibility of managing the table to the coaches. The project is so I can leave something with the community that helped me grow as a person." So Rex was able to get $2,000 toward his senior project to purchase an LED backlit score table for the gym. And he'll be continuing to work on that for the rest of the year. Pay It Forward also provided $1,500 for girls wrestling, $1,000 for boys wrestling, mostly for uniforms, and $1,500 for boys basketball. What we're working on next. As always, there are lots of state and federal reports that are required from districts, and there are 12 coming up between now and our next board meeting. We'll be continuing to work on making progress for those corrective action plans from the State Department. Outreach, low enrollment is one of the priorities right now, as we have very low enrollment in Loman. And of course, as always, supporting students, staff, and stakeholders. We're also going to be working toward improving our federal SPED billing reimbursements. This is one thing that our partners at the Nampa School District, with whom we have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, we're going to be continuing to work with them. Increasing CTE course offerings, that's career technical education. In our school right now, we've got free CTE programs. We've got our media program. We've got our automotive program. And we've got our business program. And that's through FERPA. And also increasing dual enrollment course offerings on campus. We've been doing some work toward that. And I'll be able to tell you more at the next board meeting. It's pretty exciting. Right, and that concludes my report. Mr. Chairman, board members, are there any questions?
No. Just that last slide there, it said you're increasing the dual credits. What? Explain more.
I would love to at the next board
Okay.
meeting. But there's some good stuff going on.
Will that be this year?
It may be as soon as next semester, but it may be next year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely not something you want to rush without proper preparation.
Yeah.
That said, if we can properly prepare and have it ready to go by January, that would be ideal.
Thank you. You guys have been. Alright. Item 9 is new business. First item under new business is to discuss the need for a co-clerk. Open position for that. Would you like to speak more to that? Ms. Buffy?
Sure. Ms. Horn does a lot for us around here, and at times it may seem too much. So in an effort to ease her load, we've decided to make the co-clerk an open position if the board is okay with that, and split the duties of the clerk.
I am. I think Stephanie is the most valuable person around. She's got so much knowledge and helps us as a school board and new administration as well. We're so grateful for your contribution. But the last thing we want is to wear you out and have you not contribute. And so if we need to hire somebody else to lighten your load, go ahead and do it.
Thank you. I would like to have someone that can be a little bit more efficiently getting things done before the next board meeting, getting things back to you guys in time, things out to the community, as well as take care of records requests, because my days are packed. And so when it comes to needing to provide something and, to somebody within 3 days, sometimes 10 days, it is pretty difficult to fit it all in depending on how big the request is. And so I would be interested in having a code that can help with that. I still attend the meetings, still follow up everything that I do in person and the support in the community, but more of the tasks behind the scenes needs to be helped by someone else if possible. And I'm willing to give the majority of my stipend to them for that.
Just so you guys know, I'm down here at the school a lot. My kids are involved in sports and all the things. I'm down here early in the morning, late at night, things like that. You wouldn't believe how many times I drive by the school and I see these two vehicles parked outside. Talked to Spafford one day, and I'm like, and she said, "Yeah, I was here late last night." I'm like, well, I drove by at 9:40. Was that you pulling out of the parking lot? I was coming home from Boise. So they've been putting in ridiculously long hours to make our school the best we can, and Stephanie's right in there doing the same thing. I really appreciate everything you're doing. So as far as the open position, is that something we have to advertise, or is that just something that we choose as a board?
We need to advertise for it. So we'll
Okay.
go on the website. You need to make a motion to open a co-clerk position.
Okay.
for the board.
I'll make a motion to open a co-clerk position. Open a position.
Can I ask a question before we move on? Do we need a job description or just
To have it divided into duties?
co-clerk? Yeah, who's gonna do what, or is it just?
You open the position, so these are the things you have to do.
No problem.
We need to drag it on.
No, you're good. So we'd open it with that, and then when you interview for, because it's a clerk board, and so you guys will be part of the interview process, and then you have that job description at the same time. So you can move forward with the motion.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to open the position for co-clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item is discuss the school's credit card account and the board approve and possibly approve that credit card account.
So I can speak to that. This is really a formality. Previously, our credit cards, they've been called credit cards, but they're not true credit cards. In that we have, for example, in one account, we have $20,000 set aside to protect the balance of that card. And it's quite atypical. And Mr. Randy Dewey can speak more to this. He'll be on the phone later if the board has questions. But basically what this would do is would take it so that we're using a more traditional approach that's used by schools and not having that balance that's set aside, that's held, that we can't touch in that $20,000. And it would be an actual credit card.
Is there any downside? I mean, this is what all schools do. We just have an old policy, or it's not policy, but an old system.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's sort of like a line of credit. That's somebody who has no credit built to help them, right? Because they have their own money protecting it, right? I don't see any downsides to it. I know that we're going to be fiscally responsible as a school district anyway, and we're not going to be balancing funds or anything of that sort. So I'm not concerned about it. Mr. Dewey's not concerned about it.
Who would have access to this card? Just, that was the
Good question, yeah. So our bookkeeper, of course, business manager. Yeah, and then people could check out the card, or we could have individual cards that are checked out. Yeah, and that's what we're going more toward is the individual cards because there are just a lot of benefits as far as tracking. Yeah, knowing who has the card.
Yeah, that's how they do it in my business. Makes sense to me.
Okay, all the questions I have.
Would you guys like to make a motion?
What do we make a motion to approve the new credit card system as recommended by Randy Dewey? Is that? Sure. Okay. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the credit card system as recommended by Randy Dewey has been done by the district.
I will second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the proposed credit card system. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the annual review of the policies listed per policy 1303. Did you guys have any questions about any of these listed policies?
I didn't see anything.
It's the annual review of them. If you feel the need to bring them back for a policy committee and make any changes, that's when we would do that at that time. This is just guaranteeing that they've been in front of you and that you reviewed them. And then I'll put reviewed at the bottom of each of these policies.
The only one I thought might need reviewed is the fees. Do those seem like reasonable amounts for our facilities? Some of them seem really low because they're paying things afterwards. It doesn't seem like we're trying to pay for itself. Do we want to come back to that?
Is you can approve this at the annual review, and I can get this on an agenda in the future for review at 7,500. It's also, we can review it now, we can also do, or we can review it this year, or we can do it in June when we address all
Which then affects some of these things.
funds.
I'm okay with approving the existing policy unless we have any problems with it. So I'm okay approving these ones because I don't see any problems. And if we do find something we want to change, we can bring it back up and
Absolutely,
address that policy.
yes.
So,
Yeah, we can, if you wanted to make any changes, we would not them tonight. We would have to come back with the edits and have it as a read and community forum would then have the opportunity to spot each policy that we have up for that. So these are just part of that 1303 policy that requires you to review certain policies annually.
Okay. Did review them. The fund accounting system, there was a lot of funds listed. I didn't have a way of verifying. These are
Right.
still applicable?
Yes.
Is it more needed added? I don't know. And then also, there was quite a few where there's like follow-up items within the policy, like, when it comes to land is the firearms policy, like doing an inventory of our equipment, things like that. As I was going through, I just highlighted the items that require going back to, like if there's training requirements and things like that too.
Yeah.
So I'll pass along the ones that I highlighted.
Perfect.
Okay.
is that scheduled for, I know the training before was done by Josh Ward. Is Officer Gomez doing that training ongoing now that Josh Ward has left?
We have scheduled training, yes. Ms. Stafford can speak to when that is scheduled, but also as we are looking at these policies and the ones that we want to make some changes to, I believe that there is a policy committee that will be being formed and assembled to, it was assembled last year. I'm not sure if they have been meeting, I haven't been made aware of that. But typically when we bring those, it would be like a certain specific policies that we know need worked on right away. And then each year they might take on a certain section. So like maybe, I know like 5,000 was done and 6,000 was done, but maybe we need to hit 8,000. Board is in the 1,000s, 2,000 and 3,000 are the student education and everything to do with student conduct is in 3,000, and then community relations is 4. So anyways, that is something that the community or the policy committee would be able to kind of focus in on what's highest need.
Who's on the committee? You know?
That's what I was saying, is that I don't know. I know it assembled last year, but I don't have a list of those names at this time.
Could you be part of it? Since you
Yes.
have most experience.
Yeah.
And then when they do that policy, do they then try to update the handbook with it so that?
We would.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be the committee that would do that. That would be the clerk's role. And then bringing that back to the superintendent so that she knows that that would be really that change would be happening. We need to come up with a process of year, like changes that are happening throughout the year and making those changes to handbook. Because typically it's an approval once a year. And so whether or not that just waits until the following year to be updated, or if it's like a living document continuously being updated.
One of the policies that's not on here that I do want to address, maybe by the next meeting, just because it's winter time,
Yes.
is I just want to have a clear understanding for myself and family and all the rest of the community, what the school does when the power goes out. So superintendent, Spafford will know, okay, do we wait an hour? Or do we wait? Because usually it gets resolved, you know, but I don't know how long we're waiting. And then school's out, just so we know the protocol, and then understand how do we improve that? You know, is it a generator to run the plumbing to be able to stay open because there's still lights through all the windows? You know, it's because maybe it's an hour and a half, and then if we go 2 hours, then we close it down, whatever. I just want to address that policy because it comes up every year.
Yes, it does. Most of the time, all of our answers will be in our red emergency binders that we can make available to you, but also in the past, it has had everything to do with our sewer and our SBR. But again, that would be, you know, as far as our long-term goals and what we need to be working on at the highest priority, the generator is always something that comes up so that we can stay. But yes, I'll put that on our discussion and try to get on the next meeting.
Anything else, Chairman? I see you have a gavel.
We do. We had some excellent students here tonight. I might have some ruckus.
I see that, yeah. Comes in handy.
All right, anything else? Okay, do we need to make a motion for this or just acknowledge that we reviewed?
You have to make a motion for 1303.
Okay. We have a motion to approve these policies as written.
I'll make a motion that we have discussed and we have reviewed these policies as written, and no changes are recommended this time.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second that says we've reviewed these policies as per policy 1303, and we accept them as currently written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item is to discuss the 2023-24 annual audit.
Okay, so we are having some technical difficulties.
I've got it printed.
Let's get that one for now.
I am going to call Mr. Dewey on the phone
Okay.
and we're going to. For some reason my mic doesn't work. So, hopefully everybody will be able to. Hello, Mr. Dewey, you are on speakerphone with the board here.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me.
I believe they can.
Okay, so are you ready for me? Are you gonna ask me questions, or you want me to just go over the audit and kind of status of where we are right now and things?
If you please go over the audit.
Alright, so we had a clean opinion audit. What that means is that the auditor didn't find any deficiencies that we needed to work on or any of that stuff. We got it in on time to the state. He was great to work with. They do things a little differently than what I'm used to, so that kind of took me a little bit of time to get used to. But really, in the end, great people and great auditors. When it was all said and done, the numbers look pretty good. The one that I have some. It's weird the way that the district has been accounting for certain grants and stuff in the past. Not necessarily incorrect, but just different than what I'm used to in my professional opinion. But those are the things we're working on this year to kind of clean up and do some things but everything looked good in that way. There's some things we're still finding even now. It's like one of the revenues that I think should have gone into last year kind of hit this year for nutrition services. So the nutrition services looked a little worse than I think it really was. And so working with Debbie and that kind of stuff, we're working with that as well. So in the end, I think the audit went well. There's some different things that brought up to me and certain things that we're looking at now and to make some changes, and then we're working with Hannah as well on making some of those changes for this year, which we'll probably get through, and with some new decisions and that kind of stuff and ideas probably by next month for sure. Anything else?
Did we want to set up the training one? Yeah, I just want to set up some time to go through this so I can understand it better.
Yeah, so we had talked about the first week of December if possible. We couldn't do it during tonight's meeting, and we're going into holiday soon. And so Mr. Dewey and Ms. Spafford and I were looking at the first week of December. Is that good for anyone or for anyone specifically? Let me stay away from it. It'd be the 1st through the 7th. So we come back on the 2nd, and he's able to do evenings during the week if you'd like, or if we were to move into the 6th or 7th, there is a little bit of stuff going on during the 7th. We've got a high school girls basketball game and middle school girls basketball, and state drama is happening that weekend. So
What about Wednesday?
So I was just thinking.
Mr. Dewey, would Wednesday night work for you?
Yeah, you guys, what day? The Wednesday, the 2nd or 3rd? Is that what you're talking about?
It's the 4th. It's
The 4th? Yeah. If you'll send me an invite, I'll make sure to be there on time. You guys just let me know when you want to start. I'll be there for sure. What that meeting will be too, it's not necessarily to go over the audit, because the audit is numbers that have already been done. And those are really just kind of saying where we are right now. But the reality of the situation, what I really wanted to show you guys is how the system worked, how the revenues worked, expenses, and what we're doing with that, and some future goals and stuff like that we want to work with. That's kind of what I was looking to do. I'm thinking it'd be probably no less. It sounds terrible that you're just talking accounting for this long for hours is what I would expect to happen.
yes, and if we can add to that some discussion on how to read the budget itself and the documents that they'll be seeing monthly.
Okay, yes, and that's exactly as you're probably not used to seeing things I sent over this month.
Right. They are formatted differently than they have been in the past. Plus, we have been without for a little while. It'd be nice to have an explanation of how all of these, lay out. The thing
Yeah, and I purposely do it a little differently. You probably got stuff that was sent to you through the system before, and there's different reports. The hard part about those, and what I've seen with a lot of boards, and we've got many board members that have gone through my district, and they just didn't quite understand. It was really hard to read those reports.
Yes.
And so this way that I have is what I do with my current board. They seem to like it. They'd be able to ask a little bit more questions with it. And I would definitely want to go over those with you, just to kind of give you a to look for what questions to actually ask, and the different things that you guys would cause alarm, and those things that you could definitely right off the bat once you see them.
Okay, so the only concern I have about Wednesday is we have a home girls basketball game in high school. So if Tuesday works for anybody? Is Tuesday too hard for you, Dr. Hollywood?
I work in Boise that day that I get back.
This weekend,
Usually
a question.
4.
Yeah, Randy, would you like to do
Yeah, so I can be back at 5. What's that?
Oh, I don't care.
Doing it on a Saturday. It's-
Fresh.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is pretty important.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's gonna be kind of a long meeting and we'll talk about,
Morning would allow you to still get down to Ambrose if you use Ambrose. Oh, it's home. There's a home game at 1:30, so you'd be able to be George.
We can do it early or late. It's pretty easy. It's only about an hour and a half drive for me over there. So I'm not too worried about that at all, guys. And so if you want to do it way before that, we can be done by that.
I don't really want to do it on Saturday.
you know, I mean, we don't have to.
My Saturdays feel fast. It's just like, it's hard to go for me to pull up a Tuesday, a Wednesday night.
Tuesday the 3rd is completely, we don't have any events going on.
That goes great.
Okay.
But that would mean that if you, what time do you guys want to start? You can start at 4, 5. You want to
Start early.
Mr. Gillies in the third.
I can't start early.
Yeah, whatever you guys want, I'll block it out and go from there.
I can try at 5.
5:30.
Let's do 5:30. I don't want you to miss the meeting. So 5:30. Okay, so 5:30. Oh, look, you have commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah, but
If you will send me, Stephanie, if you'd send me an invite for that to make sure I get it on my calendar,
Yes.
and then I'll block out the travel time. And I'll probably end up going there a little early anyway to work with Debbie and hand out other stuff that day too, so it'll work out good.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to see on the budget for future meetings is if we could come up with just some standard charts that were pretty simple, that like some pie charts or graphs, something very visual that we can just throw up every meeting. It's the same every time to where we can instantly see changes from one to the next and put it up on the board. You do your report so everybody can see it. That's what I would prefer, if it's not too much work.
Yeah, so I might need to, we'll talk to you a little bit more about that, and there might be a thing in person to make sure I'm on the same page with what you're asking for. I will say I've tried to do that in the past, and what I've noticed is I'm trying to do something like that similar to, I had a superintendent once to say, hey, can you do the bar graph to see where we were compared to last four? And literally the graphs were so almost identical throughout the way. It was almost a wasted graph because it wasn't showing anything more than what's typically happening in the school district. That makes sense? From year to year to year, we have the same expenses at the same time every time. But I have no problem putting whatever together and work with you on a certain way of looking at it that can easily show people how it works. I purposely did I do that summarized one for you guys because you notice there's the two. One's like a detailed for the different funds and the other one's a summarized. My board tends to stick with the summarized a lot more as well. And that one seems to give, in my opinion, a little bit of answers. And I can probably build something off of that if that's what you guys want to do on that too.
Okay, and I know I make it sound easier than it really is because I realize it's difficult to look at a snapshot in time with the funds coming in at different times and going out. Like, I know that is difficult, but if there is some kind of way to show it where we can track over time or something that's consistent from meeting to meeting.
Like a budget to actuals.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
Well, that's what that is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, every one of those are budget actuals right now, and so it tells you, the one thing about that doesn't include, the summary includes actually encumbrance, and what the encumbrance is basically what we know our expenses going forward. An example is I know what all the employees' expense is going forward because now that we have a system, it automatically calculates. The only things I don't have is like the added bills for like transportation and that because I don't have a defined invoice for those. So that's how I can. So we're kind of a cash basis organization except for like payroll or expenses that we're already in. So that's kind of what makes it hard. And once you're in payroll land, it's literally the exact same expense every single month because we're level pay and that's how it works. But those are the things. I mean, I think we can talk about it and we can rework through those things on that Tuesday, and then we can definitely come up with some ideas because I'm open to whatever you guys want. I'm not worried about that at all. We can help you get through it anytime.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being available Tuesday as well.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you guys need to me?
Well, we can,
Any more questions?
Sounds good. Thanks, Randy.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Have a good night. No, I think what you're asking for, Mr. Chairman, is completely reasonable.
All right. Let's move on to the next thing, old business, loan school.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, we got to put the on. Yeah, sorry.
Did you have any questions?
I
Said something about it.
no, I mean, I printed it all out. I looked at things that stood out. There was this one on Percy that was like 5, 600, 7, 7, and then all of a sudden in 2021 it jumped up to a million, and then it went negative 36,000 in 22, and then it went up 2 million, and that was the only one that was like, why is this one? And I don't know enough about it to ask, so I can certainly approve it because I don't understand it, but I can ask those questions with Randy. It's past tense. It just knows that because an audit has been done. So we approved the audit. But I just want to have a better understanding of it moving forward.
So their auditor letter said that we wouldn't find any problems, so.
I read that.
Yeah.
So that's reassuring.
You ready for a motion?
Yep.
I will make a motion that we approve the 2023-24 annual audit.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second to approve the 23-24 annual audit. All approved. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now let's move on to old business, the status of the Wilman School.
As far as the Loman Elementary School goes, we have ongoing concerns about enrollment and attendance. The tricky thing is if we don't have students enrolled in a school, obviously we can't have a school. That's a requirement, right? So we have been following some different routes and talking to parents of school-aged children in Loman to try to figure out what would need to occur to increase enrollment there. At the end of the day, we want the Loman Schoolhouse to remain open. And I just want to be completely transparent with the community about that. It's a really great resource and we don't want it to close. But again, it comes back to the issue of if you don't have students, you don't have a school, right? So it has been an ongoing discussion and this year is it's really tricky because so many folks have moved out of the area and then there is a homeschool community there and people choose to homeschool for different reasons. And, as a district, we respect that. But if there's a way to make it work where we can still serve those students, we want to. It's ongoing.
Gone up there a couple times and visited with community members, trying to see what options are available. And it's looked at it from every angle. I did get a call from a community member up there this last week, and they're setting up a community meeting at the Sourdough Lodge on this Friday at 1 o'clock. They also wrote a letter that's going to be published in the Idaho World. I thought it was well written. It's basically saying why they support the school and why they think it's important to keep it open. They were kind of reaching out to community members up there trying to increase enrollment if they can in any way and look at the different options. I'm sure they'd appreciate it if any of those people up there and visit with them on Friday at 1. It's pretty difficult for some of them, but
Superintendent Stafford, is there any deadline that you need to know about going forward on this, or is it kind of just in limbo?
For now, it's in limbo.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the community knows that we fully support it. We don't have any desire to close that school. The opposite is true. So when we went out and met with the community members, there was a lot of different discussion, but it all boiled down to get some students there, or else none of the rest of the stuff matters. We don't really talk about the maintenance or anything else. It's not that we've got some agenda to close it down. It was just that we just need the community members to get the kids there. good stuff.
Will we have somebody from the school to run on Friday?
I plan to go.
I can't for that tonight. Okay.
And I don't know that it's gonna be any different than what we've found before, but I think that's what it is. So. Okay,
I do have to, I apologize for the interruption, I do have to praise the community members and the parents out there who have been so willing to and brainstorm different options. That's been very valuable.
And I think we've done a really good job of saying, hey, we'll be flexible with you. We can introduce it any which way to make this happen. I think we did a really good job with that.
anything else? So we don't need a motion on that one. All right, next item. Garden Valley School District Policy 5700. We've gone over this one several times. Where are we at?
So we brought it back and come back with how we plan to move forward. The policy was not synced with the handbook, and that was not operationally how we were operating either. And so the policy itself, we had discussed that we would like to consider the 4 hours, minimum of 4 hours for substitutes, and then hourly after that. And so that now reflects that on the policy. And then, and in that time period, a substitute might only be needed for, let's say, a teacher or a para for 2 hours, but we have other tasks that they need to do or some training or things like that. So we would use the full 4 hours. But after that half day, it's per hour after that. It's a minimum 4 hour pay per hour after that as far as what is needed. And then hopefully they'll stay all 8 hours if we need them to. But if we don't, then we can release them at maybe 6 hours, and there's no detriment to the district. You also asked in the last meeting that I include substitute pay for both janitors and food service staff, and so I have included that as well in there.
Yeah, I would do that. Much better as far as what we want to do for flexibility here with the student.
So performance, this would then be how they are performing currently, like this as for pay at this time. And moving forward, we would just need to update the handbook to reflect this accurately.
Okay, do we make a motion to update the handbook?
No, I have to bring the handbook to you.
Okay.
But I do need a motion for 5700.
To approve the policy, the changes to the policy.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I didn't put in colors, so it's like light gray, the ones that are changes.
I just wanted to make sure.
It was really just to clarify the half day and the full day, right? That was the biggest change.
Yes,
The
so
hourly.
before, policy read half day and full day, and the handbook read differently. And then performance was that we were paying on a half day and then hourly after that. So basically, we're not paying on a half day, full day. Instead, it's just a half day and then per hour after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Which is a huge benefit versus even just paying hourly, obviously, because if they just come in for 2 hours, I can't get substitutes.
Yeah.
It's not good.
That's great.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Garden Valley School District Policy 5700 as modified.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve policy 5700 for personnel as modified. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 10 is executive session.
Before we go into that, this, the closed campus, modified closed campus,
We couldn't get that done in time, so that isn't on today's agenda, but it will be on next agenda, as well as the coaches and a committee needs to be working on all of that, and we just couldn't get assembled.
bummer, Emma. Thank you for coming anyway. Thank you for putting it together. It's excellent. We're excited to do it.
Yes.
And student council knows that it's happening, and they're super excited and thankful
So will student council and possibly the school and be involved in that meeting?
Sure.
That would be great.
It's a school level committee, so
Okay.
mostly what is needed with that policy itself, the policy is, the first page is pretty solid. It's procedurally what needs to happen with the principals, and so what we need is for the principals to be able to determine how we're gonna conduct this, make sure that they're on board with how it's all set up, since it was produced without them, obviously, since it happened last year. And so that's kind of where that is we wanted to make sure that they have the ability to set forward how, the incentives will work for it and how they'll be taken away and abused.
How does that work?
Yeah, well,
Emma, she proposed this as her student
Senior project last
senior
year.
project,
right?
yeah, last year, yeah. So she's been working on developing policy and she did a presentation before, did some studies on how long it took to get from here to there, to make sure it was feasible for kids to be able to leave campus and get back on time, all of those things. So still kind of working through it, but I feel like we're making headway.
Yes,
Who wrote
and
this?
we're still on the process.
She wrote it. This is it. It's really good. I've read through it again. It is really well. Good job.
Our goal is still to have it in effect for the beginning of the next school week, the next, like January 1.